XRP is at the heart and soul of what Ripple is doing. At the end of the day, we want to do things that are good for the XRP ecosystem. We want to build trust in XRP, we want to build utility in XRP, and we want to build liquidity in XRP. Each of the acquisitions we do, in one way or another, we believe it will do those things. Now, it may not be, some people may look at it and be like, I don't really, scratch their head a little bit. Well, I promise you that we see in the three-dimensional game of chess, we see how we believe that's going to evolve. Sometimes we'll probably do things that are more obvious and some less obvious. That's okay with us.
Huge interview by Brad Garlinghouse reminding the world, in case you forgot, everything Ripple does, every acquisition, every partnership, every new technology, it all rolls back to the XRP Ledger and most importantly, the XRP token. That is their focus with everything they're doing, whether it's apparent or not. That's what they're going for, to grow the XRP Ledger. And what a huge day it was for Ripple today. They just pulled off a move nobody saw coming here. Mastercard, Gemini, WebBank, and most importantly, all connected to the XRP Ledger itself. That's the game changer. Now, this isn't just a partnership trying to get a headline and drive hype. This is the start of something much bigger. We're talking about credit cards settling, real transactions settling onto the XRP Ledger using RLUSD. This is real integration, not a test, not a white paper. And even if it starts small, these are real world transactions. This isn't just hype. This isn't some sort of marketing. This is the real deal. And just when everyone thought the news couldn't get any bigger, Brad Garlinghouse dropped another bombshell, a $500 million investment round, which values the company at $40 billion, which could lead, some analysts are saying, to an IPO next year. The company is growing rapidly. It was just $15 billion not that long ago, just coming out firing on all cylinders after that court case, led by Fortress, Citadel, Pantera Capital. This is the Wall Street's elite names getting behind this funding round because they know what's next here. So what's really happening behind the scenes? Why are institutional giants suddenly aligning with Ripple? You see the shift. You see how different it is this year than any year in history. Now is the time here. We're going to get through all of it. Let's just jump into the first bit of news here. Ripple Swell, this was the big announcement, this deal with Mastercard, WebBank, and Gemini to introduce RLUSD settlement on the XRP Ledger for fiat credit card payments, starting with Gemini XRP Credit Card. So, again, this isn't every payment that Mastercard does. This is just for the Gemini XRP Credit Card. But, these are real payments. They're going to settle on the XRP Ledger. And as you see here from Ripple's announcement, the future of payments is here. Look, if this system is an improvement over legacy systems, and Mastercard is more efficient, they're saving funds, they're able to track flows better and know where the money is, they're going to expand this. Either it works or it doesn't. This is a real production-ready deal here, and it's for real-world payments. And again, if it works, it's going to change the game, and you're going to see Mastercard just expand it, because why would they not? They're not going to want to be less efficient, spend more fees. We know the drill here. This is a big deal because, again, it's not just a pilot. It's not just testing with dummy transactions. These are real transactions. Mastercard transactions settling on the XRP Ledger. That is the future, and the future has arrived here and in a big way. Now, Weezy Win says this is bulk settlement with the issuer, not individual transactions, because we see the poster down here. Mastercard handles about 6,000 transactions per second. So this is in excess of what the XRP Ledger could do if they were to do all of their transactions every time, boom, boom, boom. We can't handle that today. Now, it doesn't mean we can't scale the Ledger up to meet that type of demand in the future. If you need that, guess what? They'll update all these validators. They'll update the network. Someone will pay for it. MasterCard, governments, we'll get there. But right now, they're just going to do just those Gemini credit cards, and they're going to do bulk settlements. So not every transaction, but they're going to, lump them all up and settle them in batches here. And that's how they'll with the current network and its ability, that's how they'll make sure they don't overload everything. But again, big deal, game changer, real world adoption of the XRP Ledger. Vet says the following exactly what I like to see, using the XRP Ledger for settlement. They want to explore this to settle between Mastercard, WebBank, and Gemini. The XRP is perfectly suited for this. Tap into XRP liquidity pools on the decentralized exchange. And this is what we have to remember. They can't just dig into the general DEX there. They don't know who's all on there. So this is going to be using permission, decentralized exchanges. So we've KYC'd everyone that's using them. And, we know who's involved there. Now, those don't have the same liquidity as public DEXs, but you can build them up. I mean, we've already seen BlackRock do this with their Biddle fund. It's at $2 billion and growing, probably much beyond that now. So they'll get there, but it's not so easy as just digging in that public DEX, because all these financial institutions, they got to know who they're dealing with. So there's a building process here, but they'll get there. And once it goes all on chain and you're not using exchanges, that's where you're really going to get the cost savings, and big cost savings here. Now, before we go on, make sure you're not watching this from the sideline. On this channel, we break the future before it breaks the news. So just hit that subscribe button now, because once this plays out, you're too late. Now let's get on with it here. The next announcement, this is huge. We're Brad Garlinghouse. Without a doubt, 2025 has been an incredible year for Ripple and a record year for crypto. And that's important. This is the type of environment where you can go out there and really build the future. They've had a couple months left of the year, but big news dropping today. We announced a $500 million investment round, Fortress Investment Group, and it has a bunch of big Pantera, which I was talking about just yesterday, Galaxy, a bunch of different people in here. This boosts Ripple's value of their company to $40 billion. That's a huge jump from 15, and it's my opinion that they really should trade based on the XRP that they hold. Tens of billions of XRP, so it should be higher than that. But they're growing, partially based on the XRP being a digital asset treasury, because that's what they are. They're the biggest in the world. And also, of course, their businesses, everything from custody to payments to everything they're doing with Hidden Road. They got a lot going on. It's growing very fast, and this is exciting to see because, again, people say, well, who cares? It's just Ripple. What Brad Garlinghouse tell you? Everything they do, pivots back to this ledger and to this asset. The more valuable they are, the more acquisitions they can make, the more moves they can make, and that's going to be better long-term for the XRP Ledger. And I think eventually they will pivot and they will stop selling XRP permanently. That's my personal opinion, but I look for that to happen sometime in the next few years, especially if they end up going public. Dan Moorhead here saying we're very excited to participate in Ripple's $500 million strategic round alongside names like Fortress, Citadel, etc. We went over that. It's been a long and exciting journey since we first invested in Ripple out of our venture fund, the very first blockchain venture invested by Pantera. So, again, this is the maturity of the ecosystem, big names putting big money into these companies, and it's only going to accelerate. You have so many going public, and we're sitting back waiting. When is Ripple going to do so? And the number one reason why I want to see Ripple go public is because then they're going to have to tell us even more information in those public reports, and that will give us more insight on the XRP Ledger itself. That, to me, is the big deal as an XRP investor, why I would like to see Ripple go public. Now, of course, you have the naysayers. We see this fishy catfish saying the following: SBI, the largest external investor in Ripple, is adopting Chainlink. And, this is a big deal. Why aren't they using Ripple for this? XRP's a bust. And it's like, what are you talking about? XRP Ledger has certain core functionality and features. Chainlink is an Oracle service. They're not even remotely competitive. They're nowhere near the same type of technology. If you're using the XRP Ledger, you need an Oracle service. You need Chainlink. You need Band. You need something, Flare, let's say. So, it's kind of silly. But we see this kind of stuff. It pops up all the time. But we got to step back and say, what's really going on here? SBI needs Oracle services, so they're going to go with the biggest in the business, which is Chainlink. If you're doing payments and settlements and you want to hold on to, top crypto assets, well, XRP is your way to go. It's kind of silly. Then we saw Laura Shin saying Ripple just raised $500 million from a group of marquee investors, but here's how outside VCs see it. The company is not worth anything outside of its XRP holdings. First of all, that's bullish. As XRP investor, I want that to be the centerpiece of their company. Their massive holdings in XRP. But we know that's not true. Why? Well, even if we discount their payment business, which is growing fast and has value, I guarantee you that, they just bought multiple billion-dollar businesses. And they have a stable coin that's growing rapidly. So to say none of their businesses are worth anything is just factually ridiculous. We know better than that. Laura Shin is just being a little bit of a hater here. Saw this post here by X Finance Bull, and he's saying, why is no one talking about Ripple buying Uphold? And, Uphold's shopping the exchange. They want to be acquired here by somebody. And we've seen some of the different people that have been tossed around. I would love it if Ripple bought Uphold for sure. I'd probably use it a little more than I do now. But personally myself, because Uphold is so XRP centric, and Ripple already is, again, as Brad told us, all about XRP. I would like to see, again, like a Charles Schwab, a Fidelity, someone trying to get into crypto assets. If they did the acquisition, or if Robinhood bought them, that puts a non-XRP player right in the middle of our ecosystem. So for those reasons, I would like to see someone other than Ripple buy Uphold. But, someone's going to acquire that company. Great business. And it's just a matter of time. And I don't have a problem. I'd be excited if Ripple acquired them, of course. But I would love one of those big players that are not yet, a mainstay in this ecosystem. If they bought Uphold, that just brings them right into the XRP ecosystem. That means that's their focus. If you're buying Uphold, you're not doing that because you want to build out, things with Ethereum. Like you would deal with Coinbase or some sort of, Kraken that have their base infrastructure, stuff like this. If you're buying Uphold, you're thinking of doing a similar move to Coinbase and Kraken, but on the XRP Ledger, and that would be really bullish, especially if it was like a Charles Schwab or someone like that, in my opinion. And we've heard that name thrown around here. Matt Hogan saying, look, man, we got a lot of ETFs coming out. Specifically, XRP will launch soon. There's been some rumors it will be next week. Brad Garlinghouse said, hey, I'm going to sit back and see it happen. I know it'll happen soon, but, I'm not going to get my hopes up. Maybe next week, maybe the week after, who knows? It's coming soon. But Matt Hogan also brought up the point of, we're entering a new era in crypto. And one of the more popular types of funds here in these ETFs are going to be basket products. From what Matt has said, and something I've been saying, where someone wants exposure to crypto at large, but they don't want to buy individual tokens. Maybe they want just the top 10 coins, top 20 coins. Maybe they just want smart contract, DApps. You're going to have a lot of optionality here, and those are going to be really, really popular here. And most of them are market cap weighted, so XRP being a top market cap. Those funds that include XRP, well, it's going to get a lot of the value that comes flowing in. We see example of that here with Grayscale, Efficient Global Unstoppable. They are highlighting XRP, which is part of their new fund that holds the top 5 tokens, their GDLC fund, which is live and going now. And it has Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano, I believe. But in this advert, they're really pushing the fact that XRP is included in this basket bundled product. Pretty cool to see. Chainlink founder, I see an 80% chance of the Clarity Act happening before the midterms. I was really hoping that would happen this year because, again, next year, you're getting ready for midterms. And it's not so easy to get things through. And politicians are worried about getting reelected. So hopefully it happens this year, but that's a bullish stat. If it happens even sometime next year, that's fine. We just want to get that in the book so, in future administrations can't mess with the crypto space here. We see Senator Booker, Senator Boozman to speak with David Sachs, the crypto czar right now, hopefully to finalize exactly that. This sweeping crypto regulation, really, really important here. Paul Barron saying the following, just the beginning, my friends. This report in October, stablecoins did 3.8 trillion in volume. That's 3x Visa and 27x PayPal. So if you don't think this is the future, it's coming quickly. And, the blockchains that value flows over, it's integrating directly with TradFi, so it's going to have an effect on the base currency. And it's also, just going to inject a bunch of liquidity into the chain. So don't let anyone tell you stablecoins don't matter. It does. It matters a great deal. Robinhood beats earnings estimates thanks to crypto revenue jump by 300%. So again, this is driving stock values and investment into this asset class. Lastly, Coin Bureau saying the following new trend: governments are jumping into Bitcoin mining. Nations are no longer just regulating crypto; they're mining Bitcoin. And why I highlight this specifically is this is with any network. Kind of back what I said about, well, we can't have enough transactions right now to settle all of Mastercard on the XRP Ledger, or you look at the Bitcoin blockchain, or all sorts of ones. The day will come when your massive, big tech companies, your nations, they're going to be running this infrastructure. It's not like today where you have really a lot of hobbyists running this stuff. It's going to be unlimited budgets. If you need better machines, it's going to happen. And it's still going to be decentralized because none of these countries trust each other. None of these companies trust each other. They all got to leverage this technology. So you're going to see all sorts of money flow into the infrastructure. And we're going to go from the dial-up era to like high-speed internet, essentially across most of these major chains. How they function today will be nothing like the future because, again, you're going to get nations competing against each other, not just to run, partially to run Bitcoin mining infrastructure, of course, but also, validators, all sorts of infrastructure to make sure the major chains are highly capable and can meet the demand of the future. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.